Now that we have a general idea of how to serialize objects in two different ways, it's time to add this into our drawing program. So I've gone over and I've copied our drawing program to a subpackage of our IOStream package so we can make these changes here. We've actually had a menu item called Save for a while now. It just doesn't do anything. So let's go ahead and let's add an on action to it. And what needs to happen inside of here? Well, we should probably, in a general sense, open up a dialog box that is going to ask them where they want to save this. And then based upon the extension of the file, if they pick a file that ends in .xml, we'll save it as XML. If they, we could say if they end in anything that's not XML, we'll do binary serialization, because there's not necessarily a standard for that unless we decide there's going to be one. So we need to bring up a file chooser. And we'll make a chooser equals new file chooser, and we want the Scala FX1. And we can give this a title, save drawing. Okay. Now we want to call show open dialog, and we have to give it the stage that is the parent it's supposed to pop up on top of. We can just give it stage here inside of our drawing program because we're setting stage there. It's in scope at this point. Now this actually gives us back a value. If you look, it gives you back a file. Unfortunately, it follows the Java conventions, and so if they don't select anything, that file winds up being null. So we want to do some saving. First we want to say if file is not equal to null, then we should check how the file ends. So if file dot get name, that's right, Java library, dot ends with dot XML, then we're going to do one thing, else we're going to do another. I'm actually going to start with the other one. We're going to start with our default Java binary serialization, and then we'll come back and do the XML serialization. So we happen to have our loan pattern code from earlier, which has these with OOS and with OIS for an object output stream and an object input stream. And so I could call that here. With OOS, we give it the name of our file, which is going to be file.get, let's go with get absolute path so that we get definitely the entire path. We'll import the with OOS, at least hopefully. Oh, it's not going to be able to import it unless I do that, and that'll work. Okay, so what happens here? Well, we are writing a function that takes an object output stream, and actually this would be really easy. OOS.write object of the current drawing. Now, okay, we somehow have to get hold of the current drawing. We're already doing that actually down here. We have some code that gets the the current drawing that's up right there. And in fact, one could argue that we shouldn't be allowed to save unless we actually have a current drawing. Okay, so now we check to see if there is a currently selected tab. If there's not, then we won't do anything here. This option just does nothing. If there is, then we pull out the drawing and the tree view. We don't actually need the tree view for this. And then we do everything that we were just talking about. Well, let's see what happens. So we run this. I'm going to at least add one drawable into here so that we can have something. And then I'm going to click save, and I am going to save this cancel. Did I do an open dialog instead of a save dialog? Indeed I did. Show save dialog. The open dialog, I don't get to type in a file name. So let's go ahead, let's add our rectangle again, and now we save. It opens this, and I can type in drawing.bin. Oh, and there's red text all over the place. Well, okay, this was actually an easy one to predict, right? We know what's going to happen here. That was dumb. This has, well, it's an exception telling us that this cannot be serialized because we have not made our, there is a drawing.bin file. Okay. Instead of closing that, here we go. Not serializable drawing. Yeah, indeed, it's not, because we haven't made it serializable. Well, we know how to do that. So let's come in here and we make it so our drawing extends serializable. Okay. Now, of course, what's inside of our drawing? Our drawing has a draw transform. We'd probably need to save that off. And the draw transform right now is not serializable. Indeed, all of our drawables need to be serializable. And in fact, that's the easy way to do this, is we're just going to make drawable serializable, and then draw rectangle, draw transform, draw text will all also be serializable because of the transitivity of inheritance there. Okay. What else was inside of drawing? It has an option to a graphics context. I have a funny feeling that's not going to save very nicely. And then it also has vars, which is a map of string to double. That will save. Strings, doubles, and all the built-in collections are all serializable. So that's not a problem. But this line is. Okay. Well, this one's actually pretty easy because I don't want to save this. Okay, saving this to a file and then loading it back in on some other run, we don't have the same graphics context. So the other run is going to have to set the graphics context. This one should not be saved. It should be transient. Now, unfortunately, that kind of undoes all of our good work for making this an option, because now it has the ability to be a null, in which case the for each is still going to give us a null pointer exception. So, though it pains me to do so, I'm actually just going to set it to be a graphics context there and start it off as null, and that changes some of this code. So it becomes if underscore GC is not equal to null, then we do stuff with underscore GC. Actually, the regular GC will work because it's just a getting method there. I think I have an underscore in front of that. Okay, so now this file is happy again. I'm less happy because I had to go and actually manually put a null in something, but that's one of the challenges of working with Java libraries, is that Java still does those things. Okay, let's try this real quick. Good odds it's still not going to work, but we can try it anyway. So we're going to add a drawable of a rectangle, and we're going to save. We'll save to that same file name. Yes, we wish to replace it. And there's another exception. Not serializable exception, color. Okay, this one's harder to deal with. So we've actually gotten it so that everything in our rectangle itself saves. The drawing is serializable, double, 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 all happy except color. Color is not serializable. So we're going to have to come back in the next video and deal with serializing color. As we talked about before, this is going to require custom serialization. So there's a little bit more effort in making it so that this will do what we want.